Hi everyone. I'm just going to try and find a live on my iPad so I can view the comments. Right. Okay, I think I've got it. So I'll just wait for a few of you to arrive. So I'm going to place this here just so it's something to look at while we're waiting. The camera looks as if it's so far away today, but it's actually very close. It's really strange. But yeah, so I'm going to be playing around with some Christmas cards today, but well, a Christmas card. I don't think I'll have time to do two. I haven't started Christmas cards at all. I'm always one of those that's a bit last minute. Literally leave everything till the last minute. It's terrible. I had planned on being really organised this year, and I had planned on making a couple of Christmas cards a month. But of course it didn't happen. Hi Joe, how are you? But yeah, so I'm going to end up being one of those people that I'm afraid leaves everything till probably the day before it needs sending. But yeah, I've made this one. I think I did make one a couple of weeks back, which I did actually show, I believe, on the live, which was with Pablo. So I say I haven't made any. I've made a couple, but not enough to send everyone. So yeah, I'm going to be using today. Thank you, that's good. I'm going to be using today a couple of my favourite sets. So it's the Arthur the Dog and Lynn's Affirmation set. I am also going to be using again the lovely satin inks. I think this is a must-have in your collection. And for the car, it's just going to give it a really nice sort of little satin finish, which I think sometimes it's really nice just to make an image pop. But yeah, so I'll be applying that again at the end. Don't know if we're going to get a few more watches. Oh, hi Mum. My mum's watching. She's over at my uncle's house this morning as it's his birthday. So I'm guessing he's probably in the background there. But yeah, so that car is such fun. It is such a lovely car, and do you know what? I think, well, the set has such lovely sentiments on it. You know, you can have, the words are all set, well, the Happy Holidays and Merry Christmas are separate, so you could kind of mix and match them. You know, you could have Happy Christmas instead of Merry, and the dashing through the snow sentiment. I mean, how gorgeous is that? I always do love a set of stamps when they come with some sentiments. You know, I think that, yeah, you just need a sentiment, don't you, when you're doing cards, and it's so nice when they're actually linked to the set. But yeah, it's a great set. If you haven't got it, definitely get it. I think all the Sharon Bates images are so much fun. There's a few, I mean, there's the Pablo one. I haven't got it at hand. I think I've popped it away. And the birds, they're all great. I love using them. Right, so I might, I'm going to peel this off. I'll grab my stamping platform. I can find it. It's a bit of a mess today. I've been doing quite a few crafts. Right, I'm just going to move that away from the camera so I don't knock it. I'm sure Facebook has kind of changed the camera settings on here, because it seems like you have to have the camera really low down to get a nice, a sort of a nice shot, whereas you never had to do that before. So it feels like I'm going to keep knocking it all the time, but we'll see. Right, so I'm just going to apply the stamp on here. I'm going to position it roughly where I want it. So I'm using a piece of card here to fit on a 5x7 card blank. So it's just white card. So I think I'm just going to go about there. I want to leave enough room at the bottom to put the sentiment. So I was hoping to do something different for today's live, but I didn't have time to sort of plan it very well. Oh, hi Laura, don't worry about being late. I'm sure you've been very busy. Yeah, I can't think what I was saying then. No, I've completely lost it now. I was on a bit of a run then. Right, so I'm just inking it up with some black Versifine Clair. I did re-ink that just before the live, so hopefully I don't have too many problems. Move it over. Problems inking it. Where's my little stamp tool thing gone? There it is. So I'm just using my little stamp tool. Now there is one of these on the website. I think it's called a stamp press, and it's by Crafty. So it is slightly different to my one, but I still recommend them. I think they're great, especially if you have sort of a few, you know, problems. I do have issues stamping because of like muscular problems and things that I have. So yeah, I do recommend these. I'm just going to move it over. I'm so worried about knocking the camera. I don't think that's stamped very well. Just going to lift it up carefully. I think it's kind of stuck a little bit. Yeah, and I think the card's moved. I don't know if this one's going to... What is it? Well, as soon as I do a live, the first image that I stamp, it's never very successful. Could be because I didn't clean it very well. Right, we'll see if this works, because I've moved the card, so I don't know if it's going to be a bit of a shadow. Oh, hi Chris. Popped in until hubby gets back from the doctor's, then I have to go out and catch up. Oh, well, thank you for joining for a little while. Right, let's have a look to see if this has worked. Okay, that's not too bad. I was worried it was going to be a bit of a halo image, you know, a double stamped image. Whoops. Right, let's get rid of that stamp press. And I'm now just going to emboss this with some Well ultrafine embossing powder. Oh, that's what I was saying. Yeah, I didn't have time to prepare, but I think on my next live I am going to do something with some wood, which is a bit out of my comfort zone, but yeah, especially on a live, because I think very often with me nothing ever goes right. Right, so I'm just going to flick that because I can just see some excess embossing powder there, which I really don't want. So if you're worried about excess embossing powder, you can go over with like an anti-static bag first. I didn't do that on this. Where's my heat gun gone? I moved my heat gun right out the way when I was trying to clear my desk yesterday. Right, so I'm now just going to heat this up. I always like to lift the cards sort of off the table a little bit. I find it embosses a little bit quicker. And some people do say, don't they, that you should emboss from underneath, but generally I tend to go on top. Unless, of course, I'm sort of embossing anything sort of loose or... I think that's done enough. Right, now I'm going to today go through some sort of masking techniques, but I'm going to literally be really basic. So you can buy masking gels and things. I don't actually think this is on the website anymore, is it, Laura? But I did have this masking gel, but because it is such a big area, I'm not going to use that. I've literally stamped the image onto some copier paper, so just paper that runs through your printer. I've stamped it on there and cut it out. Now I did do this off of camera because I just thought that, well, I think I've said before, it takes me so long to cut an image out that, you know, I thought I'd save a bit of time. It is such a fun image, isn't it? It's lovely. It reminds me of Mr. Bean, you know, when he's sitting on top of his car trying to drive it from the top. He's sitting in an armchair or something, isn't he? It reminds me of that. No, we're out of stock of that one. Okay, so you know, it's probably a good job I'm doing it this way. So this is just a, you know, another way that you can do it, and you don't need a lot of fancy materials. It is literally just copier paper. So it's stamped on. Now I haven't bothered cutting the bird out. I'm going to be quite light in the sky there, so it won't matter too much. So yeah, I've got that already cut out, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tear another piece of, so again, this is just plain copier paper, and I'm going to tear a strip off. It's not got to be a perfect straight line. I've gone for a few jagged edges. So this is just to create sort of a bit of a snow line at the bottom here. And you're just gonna, I'm gonna sort of pop that in place about there. Now, it is gonna be a bit fiddly, sort of holding everything down. But it is doable because, I mean, it's just two pieces. I guess you could probably even use a little bit of like low tack tape behind it just to sort of stop it from moving. I haven't got one. I said I'm just trying to show you some real basics, just so that, you know, just to show you don't need a lot of crafting materials and things to create sort of a whole background scene. So I'm just going to grab my brushes out from the back here. What do I need? A nice blue one. There we go. So I think actually I'll go in with the pink first. Oh, it's just oh, when you do cut these out, cut any masks out, whether you're using like masking sheets or copier paper, just make sure that you cut slightly within the line. You don't want it coming out too much, because otherwise you'll end up with like a halo around your image. I mean, sometimes that might be nice, but you know, you want to create sort of a nice skyline behind. You don't really want a white line in between. Right, so I'm just going to grab my my inks. So I'm using oxide inks here, my go-to colours really for sort of sky. I'm going for a bit of a nighttime sky here, so I'm going for picked raspberry, and I only really want a little bit. Now, no, I'm using the wrong brush. It would help if I had the right brush, wouldn't it? So yeah, I'm not too worried, I said, about these presents. I'm going to try and do them sort of a darker colour, just so that it doesn't matter sort of having the ink over them. So I'm just going to randomly apply some pink here. Remove that paper look. Like I said, it is a bit fiddly. Probably would be better with a bit of low tack tape. Right. So I'm being quite random with the applications there. So I might actually go in with a bit of shaded lilac actually. Let's grab my brush for that. I've got to be careful with this one because it's quite juicy, this ink pad. So I'm just blending those colours in. So when you're working with like copier paper as a mask, it will sort of ping up if you don't do it the right way. So try and sort of blend it away from the copy of paper, if that makes sense. So if you try and bring the brush towards it, it will flick up and crease. So just try and go away from it a little bit. A little bit too much ink there. I said it was a very juicy ink pad, this one. Right, and now I think I'll go in with that Uncharted Mariner. Right, where's the blue brush? Again, I'm just sort of flicking away from the the paper area. I've moved everything at the bottom here. Not doing so well today, am I? And again, I'm going to go underneath the car here, just so that you can create that sort of snowy line. Right, I think maybe that might do. I'm just going to blend that in a bit, and again up here. Right, now I've taken that away, what I am going to do is just try and go around the edge and darken just the edge. Even on the snowy line bit. Sorry, I think I just hit my charger there. I don't know if I've done that top one or not. It doesn't look like I did. Right, what you could also do is, just so that there's not such a harsh white line, you could go in with your shaded lilac brush and just kind of bring it in, just to sort of soften the edge a little. I think I am going to have to put some more ink on this. I was hoping just to use the ink left on the brush. Yeah, it just sort of softens that line like that. Right, now I think I'm going to, well, we should do the trees first maybe. Might do the trees first. So, where's that tree stamp gone? Honestly, I can lose anything on this desk, and I literally, oh there it is, literally just had it. Mind you, I have got quite a lot on here at the moment. So this, as I said, this is the Lynn's affirmation set. I absolutely love this tree. I've used it so much already. I did use it on that penguin, Pablo the Penguin card that I showed on my last live. Gorgeous sky, love the colours. Oh, thank you, Chris. Right, so I'm going to start by just stamping some darker trees here. So I'm just going to use black for that. Now, I'm not going to emboss these. I don't really want them shiny or anything. So I'll start by stamping on this side. Now, I'm going to try not to stamp it over the car, but I guess it doesn't matter too much. just fallen from underneath my desk. Right, I'm going to turn it that way and stamp it again this side. I'll go about there, I think. It is a lovely tree, Chris. Yeah, I said it's great for sort of backgrounds, and I have used it on its own as well and done like a sort of craft card style card. Right, so now that's stamped in black, I'm just going to clean it off. I'm actually just going to add some water. Let's pop the lid on that. It is really useful and it definitely can be used for any time. Right, now what I'm going to do is stamp some background trees. Now for this, I'm going to lay my masks down again. I'm just going to sort of lay them in position. Actually, I'm going to turn the card to the side because I don't know why I prefer stamping sort of on the side. I don't know if... right, so I'm just gonna, this is where I said like the low tack tape would come in quite handy, but I said you can do it without, it just means it's a bit more fiddly. So for the background trees, I always love this colour, so this one's very Perry. Another one for stamping the background trees could be Arctic. They're both really lovely colours. I prefer the Very Perry one. I think it's my most used for background, you know, if you're creating background scenes, because you don't want it like, you know, really dark and in your face. Because if you were looking at a sort of scene, you know, if it's in the distance, it would be quite hazy and it wouldn't be as vibrant as the foreground images. So yeah, this colour is brilliant for stamping. Oh look, I've knocked it and moved it. It's great for stamping background trees. Try and line it up properly. Oh, making a right mess of this, aren't I? So I'm just going to ink that up now. And I think we'll go about here. It's not got to be at the same level as the other, you know, this tree. In fact, if you do them different levels, I think it looks a bit more realistic, you know, trees in the background. So I'm going to go for another one about there. What I might do is do a bit of secondary stamping and just stamp another one sort of there. Oh, messed that up. I think because I was holding it slightly off the page there, so let's try that again. So this one won't come out as vibrant. So you can just sort of see a haze of it. It's not great, but that's kind of what I wanted. Right, I'm going to just clean that off. And topple that to the side. Right now I'm going to start colouring it in. Now I am going to use alcohol markers for this. I think alcohol markers are actually a bit sort of my go-to for colouring. Right, I'm just trying to find the right colours. So I think I'm going to start with the dark. I'll start on the car first. No, that's not the darker red. So I'm going in with a burgundy here. Darren Home will catch catch up later. I'm so enjoying this. Oh, thank you for joining me, even though it was for a little while, Chris. So I'm just going to sort of go around the edge a little bit, just to sort of darken it. Maybe sort of the edge of the door. There, I think. Right, and then I'm just going to go in with the lighter. It's just to add a bit of dimension really to the card. As I said, I will be using the satin inks over this. Sometimes I do quite enjoy putting them over a colour. You could just paint it directly on and add a few coats, but instead I'm going to, you know what, I'm going with the thicker end. It'll be a bit quicker. Turn it round because where I am using the thicker point, I'll end up making a mess if I try and do it the other way. Right, so that's the car coloured. Let's go for the dog. I should have probably got these colours out before, but yeah, as I said, I didn't plan very well today. Right, so again, I'm just adding a few darker colours. I'm going in with a darker brown. So this is Cocoa. Hi Claire, missed the beginning. Which ink did you stamp the car in, please? So the car is stamped in Versafine Claire, the Nocturne one, and I embossed it with Ultrafine Wow. I can't think. Wow, Ultrafine clear embossing powder. You will be able to catch up. The live will still be on the group later on if you want to watch, or eventually it will be on YouTube as well. I just need to figure out how to download them again. It's been a while since I've done that. So I'm just using, oh, this is sandstone, so I'm just trying to blend that cocoa in. Right, and then we'll grab some greys for the tyre. Where is it? So, had a bit of move around in my desk and on my pens and everything, so it's taking me a bit longer to find the colours and everything that I want. No, that's black. I should have a dark grey, which I seem to have lost. Aha. Right, so I tend not to use black when I'm colouring in. I think I have said this before. This is Cool Grey 5, which is actually very close to a black. But I think sometimes if you use black, you sort of, you lose some of the image. So I'm just going around the outside of the tyres. And then this is Cool Grey 4. So always try and use sort of 2 colour tones if you can, just because it gives a bit of dimension. I think that pen might be running out. Let's see if I can try with the thicker end. Some of these pens I have had for a lot of years. There we go. Right, now for the little bit under the tyre, I'm just going to add some lighter grey. So this is Cool Grey 3. just going to make a start on colouring his presents and his collar. I'm doing them red. I think they just should be red. It's very Christmassy, isn't it? Right, and then yeah, I'm just going to randomly go in and pick some of the colours out. I'll stick to using the red for the minute, as it is, that's what I've got. Obviously you can colour the presents in whatever colours you want. I guess actually you could probably even do this as a birthday image, couldn't you? If you tried to mask off. Do you remember last time? I think I did it on my last live. I used masking tape to mask off some of the stamp. I'm sure I did. You could mask the where it says the sleigh. Because there's nothing apart from the little robin. I suppose you could mask that off as well. And then you know, you could use it as a birthday card maybe. I don't know. Just something different, isn't it? Where else should we go? Perhaps there. I'll ease off the red for a minute. I'll start on the yellow. Oh, no. That's not the colour I wanted. There we go. And I have lots of pens dotted around, I think. I'm not popping them away at the moment. This is why my desk is such a mess, because I tend to use them and just throw them down. Leave it till later. Where else do we want? Maybe some yellow there. I think I'll do a darker present down here because you can see the stamping and everything through it. What should we go for next? Green maybe. Might go for a nice bright green and a dark green. Have a combination of greens on this. Right, I'm going to go in with a darker green now and just, I think maybe we'll do this present here a green colour. So because I've gone for a dark colour, you can't see the, you know, the stamping through quite so much. What should we go for? Green. I think maybe we'll bring a blue in there. I always find it hard when there's like a cluster of presents. I probably sound really silly, but what colours to colour them in? But you can just be completely random, can't you, I guess, with them. Blue on there. I think maybe we'll bring in a purple. Just so that there's a nice mix of colour. Right, oh, and let's do purple on this present's ribbon. Right. Oh yeah, we haven't done the robin. So I'm going to do his little... I'm colouring him as a robin. He's got to be a robin, isn't he? It's Christmas. And then some cocoa for the... Sorry, I just realised I haven't told you all the names of the colours that I've used for the presents. Do you know what? I might add a bit of orange around this one. I feel like it's a bit too plain. And then just blend that in. Go in again with the yellow. I just thought it was a big present and it was just looking very, very flat. Right. I'm going to do the stamping, I think, before I do the satin ink. So I'm going to grab my Dashing Through the Snow sentiment. Just going to turn it over and pop it on my block so that I can see if it's straight. I said I absolutely love this sentiment. I think it's brilliant. It goes so well with this stamp. Alright, I'm going to try and lean over just to try and centre that a little bit. And make sure it's straight. That would help, wouldn't it? Go for about there. It's really hard. I'm trying not to knock the camera. There we go. And I think I will actually emboss that. I wasn't going to, but I think I will. I think I did on the other one. Just get rid of that. And emboss it. So again, that was just with the Wow Ultra Fine Embossing Powder. Now, what I then done on this, I created a bit of a shadow just to make the text pop out a little bit, which I'm going to use a pencil for. So this is a Castle Arts pencil. So I'm just going in with a red pencil here, and I'm just going to create a bit of a shadow. So I'm sticking to sort of the left hand side and on the top, all the way, you know, all the way along, just to make it again look a little bit 3D. I quite liked how it, so that was what I'd done before. I quite liked, you know, the look of that, and I now do it quite a lot actually on cards. I think it just makes it pop, especially if you're not sticking it down and mounting it on anything. So it's not got to be, you know, I'm not taking too much care. Where it's kind of been embossed a little bit, you can sort of use that as a bit of a guide. You can sort of feel it with the pencil. Does take a little bit of time because obviously there is quite a bit of text here. Right there, so you can see it's kind of created a bit of a shadow effect. I might just go finish that S off. And then I'm just going to grab a grey pencil and I'm just going to create a bit of a shadow underneath the tyres here. And then under the present as well. Right, let's do the Merry Christmas one. So I'm now going to grab my, let's get that clean, I don't know if I have already, but Merry Christmas. Which one's that? There we go. So I'm just going to pop these on my block again. Try and make sure they're straight. I'm just using the lines on the block as a guide. Sorry, I'm just trying to make sure it's lined up okay. There we go. Nothing worse than a wonky sentiment, is there? Oh, thank you, Joe. I said I've got quite addicted to creating the shadow on the text. I think it's nice because if you're stamping direct onto something, sometimes it can get a little bit lost, can't it? Right, I'm just trying to lean over just to see if I'm stamping that straight. It's probably wonky because I can't, the camera's in the way, so I can't see properly. Oh, did actually manage to get it straight. Right. Now, what you could actually do is go in. Now, this does take a bit of time. I'm not sure if I'm going to do too many of them just because, you know, but you could use a bit of watered down paint. So just use like a little bit of, I suppose I could do it actually. I'm just worried that I'm going to have it too, you know, go a bit too much. Let's give it a try. So let me just grab some white paint. Here we go. So this is the That's Crafty multi-surface paint. And I'm just going to grab, where's my fan brush? I tend to do this a little bit with the Sakura pen and just do a few random dots. I didn't do this on the other card actually. I'm going to move that right out of the way. So yeah, I tend to do a few random dots with a Sakura pen just because sometimes it can be a bit much. So I'm just going to grab a little bit of white paint, not a lot actually. I'm just going to wipe that because it's a bit dusty. So pop a tiny bit of paint on your tile or messy mat, whatever. And you water it down quite a bit. I hope this works. So I'm now just going to tap the brush and sort of flick the paint. This is where I make a lot of mess. It's actually not too bad. I thought it was going to be a bit of a disaster. Sometimes I said you do things on a live and it can go very wrong, can't it? So I was a bit reluctant to do this technique, but so far it's working. So you can go all over the image, I think, because, you know, snow would be, well, everywhere, wouldn't it? Let's face it. So I think I'm going to stop there before I ruin it. Let's pop that over to the side. Now I'm just going to dry this off. I don't want to smudge that. I don't know if you can see how it's turned out on the camera. I will just pick it up in just a second, and it's just very subtle really. You can't actually, I don't think the camera's picking it up too much in the sky, but you can just see there are very subtle dots. I probably should have done that actually after doing the satin ink, to be honest, but never mind. What you could then do is just with a Sakura pen add a few bits of snow to the tree. And again, I'm just being very very rough with this, where it's settled on the tree, you know, you just get a nice little white haze. So I'm just sort of following the branches a little bit and just sort of doing a few squiggly lines really, that's all. It's nothing, I'm not being particularly, you know, particularly tidy with it. If you did want a few larger dots of snow, you could just go in and add a few larger specks with the Sakura pen. I'm not going to add the snow to the trees in the background, I'm just going to leave them. Or if you haven't got a Sakura pen, actually, you could probably use a Posca pen. I think actually with the Posca pens you can actually flick them, can't you, and create a bit of a snowy sort of look. Right, so that's that done. I'm now going to grab a brush. That's not a very good one, that's gone hard. Just looking for a brush that I can use. Let's go for this one. So I'm going to use the Satin Ink Red. Now, I absolutely love these, and I'm just literally going to paint it on top. It's quite nice because where I've coloured the car already, I've ended up with like the you know, two tones still, sort of the darker tones coming through it, because they are sort of slightly translucent. Right, I'm going to try and semi-dry that off and give it another coat. When I'm heating this, I'm keeping the heat gun away a little bit because I don't want it to crack or anything. Now, for those of you that haven't tried these inks, honestly, I really recommend them. I think they are great. They've got so many uses. I mean, I use them a lot on cards just for adding a slightly different sort of texture, you know, so that it's not quite so flat. Do apologise if you can hear some whimpering in the background. My dog's sitting the other side of the door crying. She's desperate to come in here. Right, there we go. I'm going to pop the lid on that and pop that straight in my water. Now again, I'm going to dry that off. I don't know if you can see, I'm going to try and like hold it slightly to the side. You can just see it's given that car such a lovely finish. And it just really makes that pop off the card. So you can let this dry naturally, obviously, but because I'm sort of still working on it, I'm drying it off. And there we go. Right, now I'm just going to clean my mat a little bit before I start putting my base card on here, because I really don't want all that ink. I'm not going to get that paint off just yet, but I don't want all the ink transferring onto the base of my card. which goodness knows where I've put that. I did get one out. And actually I'm just going to clean my fingers because again I've got really inky fingers. Where's the kitchen roll gone? Right, where's that base? Here it is. Right, you could mount this if you wanted onto some black card. I'm not going to. I try to, when I sort of make a card, if I can darken the edges a little bit to kind of draw you in, I will try and do that. Just because I think it kind of keeps the price down. Like if you're posting or posting even a few cards, you know, the cost of postage now is just so expensive that it's just, if you can avoid putting a large stamp on something and going over the weight, then try and use as little card as you can. Right, so I'm just using the That's Crafty glue to stick this down. I'm just going to be a bit careful because that could still be a bit tacky. So if you haven't tried the glue before, I highly recommend this glue. I was a bit, not scared, but I suppose I like to use what I know. I think sometimes you get stuck, don't you, using the same products. But so I was a bit scared of transferring over to a different glue, but honestly, the glue is brilliant. Just put my fingers, I don't know if I've got some paint there that's not paint, glue. I've put too much on. I'm just going to grab my glue eraser and try and get that off. I really don't want that on. I made a bit of a mess of this. There we go. Right, and just make sure that's on straight. I'm just going to hold that down a little bit. Right, and there's the finished card. So as I said, the those inks I think are brilliant for just making sort of one little feature really pop off the card. Said if you haven't tried them, definitely get them. There's so many lovely colours, and they're great fun. You can use them on acetate, and Joe did a lovely demo last week, showing different techniques with the inks. They're great. So yeah, that's the finished card. I will try and we'll be trying to do some more Christmas cards, but when that'll be at the minute, I have no idea. So yeah, thank you, Joe, and thanks, Laura. Now Joe will be back next week, Monday, and I will be back in 2 weeks' time. I'm not sure, is it the 19th? I've probably got the date very wrong there. I'm sure Laura will correct me. I'm sure it's the 19th. So next week I'm going to try and do something a little bit different and try and decorate a I can't think, like a oh, what do you call it, like one of the chopping board, That's Crafty do some really nice MDF chopping boards. So I'm going to try and decorate that with the new Furry Friends collection by Stamperia. I love that set. Oh, I did get the date right, so it is the 19th. I'll be back then. So yeah, I'm going to try and decorate that, which I said is very out of my comfort zone for a live. I tend to just stick to doing cards. Cheese boards, that's the one. They're great. They're such a great size. So yeah, I'm going to be decorating that. So we'll see how that goes. It could go all horribly wrong, but we'll see. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me, and don't forget, Joe will be back on Monday, and then I'll be back on the 19th. So I'll see you all again soon. Right, take care, everyone. Bye.